were never disturbed because you were ordinary. You were disturbed because some part of you could see what others had trained themselves not to notice. You entered rooms and felt what happened before you arrived. You heard someone say they were fine, yet something in their voice told you the truth. You saw opportunities people ignored, and you sensed there was more beneath the surface. But nobody explained what this ability could cost you. One side of your mind recognized the pattern. The other side demanded proof. One side heard the inner signal. The other side learned to silence it. After enough years of living inside that conflict, you stopped calling it perception. You started calling it confusion. Chosen one. Out of 8.2 billion people, nobody carries your exact mixture of memory, pain, intuition, perception, and unfinished purpose. That mixture has never existed before you. It will never exist again in the same form. This does not make you better than anyone. It makes your role impossible to replace. You have what I call the singular pattern. It is the way your mind connects details that seem unrelated to everyone else. A pause in a conversation, a change in their eyes, a sudden feeling about a decision, a quiet idea that returns for months. You do not only see events, you feel where they are leading. You saw ability inside people who could not yet see it in themselves. Then doubt arrived, and you questioned the signal until the moment passed. Here is the first truth you need today. You are not divided because you do not know what is right. You are divided because one part of you already recognized what was right, while another part refused to move without certainty. It means the gift did not disappear. The connection became weaker. Your perception still speaks, but action does not always follow. This is why you can feel powerful and powerless in the same hour. Before this message ends, you will understand why the mind you had as a child could reach something your adult mind now struggles to access. You will see 3 signs that your original ability is still working beneath the fog. You will also hear about a discovery connected to Nobel Prize research and why it may explain the distance between your insight and your action. For now, notice what happened when you heard these words. They did not feel completely new. Something inside you recognized them. That recognition is not proof of every belief you have ever held, but it is evidence that your deeper perception is still alive. The signal is still there. The receiver has become divided, and when you understand how that division formed, many years of self-doubt will begin to look different. You may finally ask how to return to the mind that was always yours. Write this below. I remember my mind. Do not write it as a performance. Write it as an agreement with the part of you that never forgot. It is about accepting the work of becoming clear enough to use what you carry. Because the truth is simple. Nobody on earth has your exact pattern. Nobody can make your decisions for you. Nobody can create through your history, your wounds, and your vision. But before that pattern can become a life, you must learn why the receiver stopped working as one. There are 3 forms of evidence that your original ability is still alive. The first appears in what you notice. The second appears in what exhausts you. But the third is the one most people misunderstand for their entire lives. They call it weakness, when it may be the clearest sign of deeper reception. The first sign is pattern recognition. You often see direction before the final result. You notice a small change in timing. You hear a different tone in a familiar voice. You may not know every detail, but you sense where the situation is moving. Later, when the outcome becomes obvious, people say, "Nobody could have known." But you remember the first signal. The problem was not that you saw nothing. The problem was that you did not trust what you saw. The second sign is exhaustion around what is false. Small talk can tire you more than real work. Hidden competition can tighten your body before anyone speaks openly. A room filled with unspoken anger can stay with you for hours. This does not make every feeling a prophecy. It means your attention collects layers that others ignore. Without guidance, sensitivity can feel like weakness. In truth, it is untrained reception. Write this below. I see the pattern. You are not praising every impulse. You are admitting that your perception deserves careful attention. You can test it, you can question it, but you do not have to silence it before it has spoken. The third sign reaches back to childhood. You may remember creating games, stories, drawings, or entire worlds from almost nothing. You asked questions that made adults pause. You felt time disappear when curiosity took over. You moved between logic and possibility with ease. Then something changed. Maybe you were called unrealistic. Maybe the safest answer received approval, while the original answer created tension. Little by little, you began checking yourself before expressing yourself. This is why many chosen ones remember feeling clearer as children. They did not know more facts. They were simply less divided. Imagination and reason still spoke to each other. Curiosity moved toward action before fear demanded a guarantee. Now hold something important. Researchers found a clue that may explain why a deeply intuitive person can still feel mentally blocked. Their work reaches back to a Nobel Prize, yet the practical idea is surprisingly simple. It concerns how different parts of the mind communicate and what happens when that cooperation weakens. I will return to that discovery later. For now, hold one question. What if your fog is not proof that you lack faith, discipline, or intelligence? What if it reflects a disruption in the way the receiver is connected? You may have spent years trying harder. You prayed harder and planned more carefully. But effort cannot always solve a problem created by disconnection. Sometimes, more pressure makes the divided parts fight harder. This does not remove responsibility. It gives responsibility a clearer direction. Instead of attacking yourself, you can learn what needs to reconnect. Instead of calling yourself lazy, you can examine why recognition does not become movement. The three signs are now in front of you. You see patterns before outcomes. False environments drain you. Your childhood mind once moved with greater freedom. Together, they suggest that your original capacity may still be operating beneath years of doubt and noise. Adulthood gave you knowledge, experience, and caution. But there may be one ability you possessed more fully at 7 years old than you do today. Once you understand what happened to that ability, several moments from your past will stop looking random. You have been taught to believe that adulthood made every part of your mind stronger. In many ways, it did. You gained language, experience, and judgment. But there is one ability you may have possessed more fully at 7 years old. Once you see what happened to it, several moments from childhood will stop looking random. I call that ability the original mind. It is not childish thinking. It is the state where logic, imagination, intuition, and curiosity still cooperate. A child can examine how something works, then imagine what it could become. The mind moves freely between what is real and what is possible. You once did this without asking permission. You could turn a box into a machine. You could take apart an object just to understand its secret. Failure had not yet become a verdict about who you were. Then the instructions began. Trust only what you can explain immediately. Do not ask questions that make adults uncomfortable. Choose the safe answer over the original one. Do not act until you are certain you cannot fail. Imagine a child who takes apart an old radio. The child is not trying to destroy it, but an adult sees broken pieces and calls the child careless. In that moment, curiosity becomes associated with shame. Years later, that child has a powerful idea, but the adult does not begin. The old lesson rises first. Do not touch what you might break. Do not try what you cannot guarantee. This is how the original mind becomes divided. Logic is allowed to speak, but imagination must defend itself. Caution receives respect, while intuition is treated like a threat. You still receive ideas, but you examine them until their energy disappears. Your years of confusion do not prove that the gift was false. They show what happens when a sensitive mind receives more signals than it can explain. You were trained to distrust the bridge between perception and action. Think about yourself at 8 years old. See the face before the world taught it to apologize for curiosity. That child did not know everything, but the child had not yet learned to abandon the first spark. Write this below. My gift never left. Do not use those words to escape responsibility. Use them to correct a false conclusion. The gift did not vanish because life became difficult. Access became harder because the mind learned to separate what once moved together. There is also a danger here. Some people discover that they are different, then become attached to being chosen. They speak about purpose, but never restore the capacity required to complete it. Recognition without activation becomes another form of delay. Being chosen is not a reason to remain still. It is a reason to become available. Your perception must become a decision. Your idea must become a first step. Otherwise, the gift remains only a private feeling. You do not need to become careless. Adult wisdom matters. Discernment matters. Evidence matters. The goal is not to return to childhood innocence and ignore reality. The goal is to restore the cooperation you once had, while keeping the wisdom your life has earned. When logic and imagination work together, an idea can become a plan. When intuition and judgment work together, a signal can become a wise decision. When curiosity and discipline work together, possibility can become creation. This is not about choosing one side. It is about becoming whole enough to move. And that leads to the next truth. The greatest cost of a divided receiver is not confusion. It is the number of correct signals you dismiss before they become decisions. Somewhere in your past is an opportunity you recognized early, doubted repeatedly, and watched someone else act upon. That moment was not proof that you lacked the gift. It was proof that recognition and action were no longer connected. The greatest cost of a divided receiver is not confusion. It is the number of correct signals you dismiss before they become decisions. Somewhere in your past, you recognized an opportunity early. You felt its direction before others did. Then doubt entered, and you watched someone else act upon what you had already seen. That moment was not proof that you lacked the gift. It was proof that recognition and action were no longer connected. One part of you received the signal. Another part delayed movement until certainty arrived. By then, the door had changed, the timing had passed, or your courage had been spent on endless analysis. I call this the divided receiver. It is the state where insight arrives, but cannot travel cleanly into language, decision, and action. You can be gifted and still feel frozen. You can be sensitive and still feel disconnected. You can know what matters, yet struggle to take one clear step. This division appears in ordinary places. At work, you notice a better direction before the team does. You hold the idea back because you fear sounding unrealistic. Months later, someone presents a weaker version, and everyone calls it innovative. The pain is not only that they moved first. The pain is that you abandoned your own recognition. It also appears in relationships. You feel that a boundary must be set. Your body tightens before every conversation. But you tell yourself that you are overreacting, and you keep accepting what drains you. The signal was present. The decision never completed its journey. Then it appears in your calling. The same idea returns for weeks, months, or even years. It arrives during prayer, in the shower, or while driving alone. You ask for another sign, then another. Eventually, waiting begins to look like wisdom, even when it is only fear wearing a spiritual face. Pause for a moment. Let your shoulders fall. You do not need to repair your entire life right now. Think of one time when your first quiet knowing proved correct. Do not use that memory to punish yourself. Use it as evidence that the receiver still sends a signal. Maybe you knew a job was ending before the announcement. Maybe you sensed that a person needed help before they asked. Maybe you saw a simple solution while everyone else made the problem complicated. The point is not that every feeling is true. The point is that your first perception deserves honest examination. You have been treating brain fog like a moral failure. You called yourself lazy, inconsistent, or weak. But pressure often makes a divided system fight harder. One part pushes, the other resists. More force creates more noise, and the original signal becomes harder to hear. This does not remove responsibility. It gives responsibility a better direction. Instead of attacking yourself, you can ask, what prevents recognition from becoming movement? Instead of demanding perfect certainty, you can learn to test a signal through one small, honest action. Here is the insight that changes everything. Your problem may not be that you receive nothing. Your problem may be that the signal does not complete the distance from awareness to action. That is why you can feel certain at night and confused by morning. It is why an idea can feel alive in private, then collapse when you try to explain it. The receiver is not empty, it is divided. Earlier, I asked you to hold one question. What if the fog is not a character flaw, but a disruption in the receiver? You now understand the shape of that disruption. The next revelation is not another metaphor. It is the discovery that gave this condition a neurological address, and it explains why trying harder has not always created a different result. Earlier, I asked you to hold one question. What if the fog is not a character flaw, but a disruption in the receiver? You now understand the shape of that disruption. The next revelation is not another metaphor. It is the discovery that gave this condition a neurological address. The story begins with Dr. Roger Sperry. His split-brain research helped reveal that the two hemispheres can process information in different ways. That work was connected to the Nobel Prize in 1981. Different systems can carry different strengths, but your fullest capacity depends on cooperation. One side is often linked with language, sequence, and analysis. The other is often linked with imagery, pattern, and wider perception. Real life does not ask you to choose only one. A strong decision may require logic and intuition. A useful idea may require imagination and structure. Clear action may require recognition and execution. This is where whole brain activation enters the story. In the product research, it is described as a state where both sides communicate with greater coordination. It does not mean becoming superhuman. It means reducing the internal distance between seeing, understanding, and acting. Think back to the original mind. As a child, you could move from curiosity to creation with less resistance. You imagined, tested, adjusted, and tried again. Adult life added wisdom, but it also added habits that favored caution over exploration. Over time, the receiver learned to operate in pieces. Before I tell you what the researchers created, you need to hear what happened to two people who lived in different parts of the country. Neither needed a new belief system. Neither was told to abandon prayer or meditation. What changed first was quieter. The fog they had accepted as normal began to lift. A nurse from San Diego described feeling as if life was happening to her. She had prayed, journaled, and meditated. She was sincere, but she still felt separated from clear guidance. According to her account, after about 10 days, it felt as if a blocked channel had opened again. The change was not presented as instant perfection. She noticed less invisible pressure. She felt more present in her marriage. Decisions did not require the same exhausting inner argument. For her, the shift felt less like gaining a new identity and more like recovering access to herself. Then there was a business owner from Houston. He carried responsibility for his family, his customers, and the people who depended on his choices. Brain fog had lasted so long that he had accepted it as normal. Even prayer felt like speaking toward a wall. According to his account, after about 2 weeks, his mind felt as if it was working on all cylinders. He described clearer decisions and stronger presence with his children. The important detail is not that every problem vanished. It is that the distance between thought and action began to feel smaller. These are personal experiences from the product materials. They are not guarantees. Your results can differ, but they point toward the same possibility. Sometimes the missing piece is not stronger belief. Sometimes the receiver needs better coordination. Write this below. I release the fog. Do not use those words to ignore health concerns or professional care. Use them to release the belief that confusion is your permanent identity. Fog is an experience. It is not your name. A research team, led by Dr. Daniel Barone in New York, examined how this coordination could be supported. The product materials describe a process built around targeted sound and neural synchronization. The goal was not to demand another hour from exhausted people. They worked towards something short enough to use at home. No long ritual, no requirement to master meditation first. The question was whether a focused auditory sequence could support the cooperation that modern life often weakens. And this is where the mystery becomes practical. The team took a neural synchronization process and shaped it into an 8-minute daily experience. You use headphones. You close your eyes. You allow the sequence to play. In the next moment, I will tell you what they called it, how it is different from the brain wave tracks you may have tried, and why its creators say it works beneath conscious effort. The 8-minute sequence is called the Genius Switch. According to the product materials, it was developed around neural sync technology. Its purpose is to support whole brain activation by encouraging the two hemispheres to work with greater coordination. You do not need to repeat a mantra. You do not need to write pages of affirmations. You put on headphones, close your eyes, and listen for 8 minutes each day. The sequence is described as working beneath conscious effort while you remain still. This is not presented as a meditation application. It is not described as a gamma wave track, a binaural beat, or a random audio labeled for genius. The difference claimed by the creators is the targeted synchronization process behind the sequence. That distinction matters because many people have already tried brainwave recordings. They searched video platforms, saved playlists, and listened for several nights. When little changed, they concluded that every sound-based method must be the same. The product materials position this protocol differently. The routine is simple. Use headphones, close your eyes, relax, listen for 8 minutes. If you miss one day, return the next day without punishment. You may also use it beside prayer, yoga, or meditation, but those practices are not required. Now, we reach the dividing line in this message. Most people will agree that they have been operating below their real capacity. Then they will return to the same routines that keep that capacity buried. A smaller group will recognize that clarity is not a luxury. It is part of the responsibility attached to what they carry. This is not for someone who only wants another sentence saying they are special. It is for the person who has been sincere for years. The person who feels called toward more, yet is tired of treating fog like a personality trait. You do not need a new gift installed inside you. That is not the promise. The product is framed as a tool that may help you return to a more coordinated state where logic and imagination, recognition and action can begin working together again. Now consider the offer itself. Specialized neurofeedback sessions and equipment can cost far more than a digital protocol. The product page uses that comparison to establish value. The listed price in the materials is $49. The current offer described in the product file is $39. Check the official page for the price that applies when you visit, because offers can change. The purchase includes lifetime access to the digital audio. The offer also includes 4 bonuses. One is a guided visualization focused on money, love, health, and happiness. Another is a smart grocery guide about foods linked in the materials with brain fog, plus shopping shortcuts. The third is a classic manifestation book described as more than 100 years old. The fourth is an infographic covering 5 habits for building an ideal future. Review the official page for the exact contents and current terms. The product materials also describe a money-back guarantee. Read the guarantee before deciding so you understand the conditions. Do not buy from panic. Do not buy because refusing makes you less chosen. Make a clear decision based on the information. Maybe it sounds too good to be true. You do not have to force belief. Read the mechanism, review the experiences, examine the guarantee. A clear decision does not fear careful attention. The product file says the official version is distributed only through its website. Tracks using similar words elsewhere should not be assumed to contain the same protocol. Judge this mechanism through the official source. Now imagine one ordinary morning. You wake up, and the usual heaviness is quieter. A decision that has followed you for months no longer feels impossible. You can see the first step without needing the entire future to become visible. You begin your work without losing hours to resistance. An idea arrives with structure, not only emotion. You speak to your child or partner without pouring inner chaos into the room. You notice an opportunity that has been near you for months. You do not become another person. You become more available to the person you already are. The miracle is not that something new enters you. The miracle is that what was always inside you can finally move as one. That is the real urgency. The right opportunity may already be close. The conversation may already be waiting. The idea may already be returning. The cost of continued fog is the number of signals that never become action. The link is placed in the description and the pinned comment. You can read everything before making a decision. There is no need to rush from fear. But disappointment should not make you reject every new possibility without looking. Remember what this tool cannot do. It cannot replace medical care. It cannot replace prayer, discernment, or personal responsibility. It cannot choose your path. It may support clarity, but you still have to act on what becomes clear. The door is there for the person who recognize themselves in the divided receiver. Read the information, consider the fit, then choose from a calm mind. After that, return to the deeper question: what is your clarity for? Take a slow breath. Let your hands rest. You do not need to make a decision from pressure. Real clarity does not shout at you. It removes enough noise for the next honest step to become visible. You have heard about the divided receiver. You have seen how recognition can fail to become action. But restored clarity is not only about feeling better inside. It has a purpose. The deeper question is, what can clarity allow you to give? Being chosen does not mean being more valuable than others. It means carrying a combination of experience, perception, pain, and responsibility that nobody else can carry in your exact way. Your uniqueness is not a throne. It is a tool placed in your hands. The first purpose of restored clarity is to create. An idea may have followed you for years. It could become a business, a book, a service, or one small project that changes your family. Insight becomes meaningful when it enters the world through action. The second purpose is to protect. Clear perception helps you notice patterns before they become damage. You may recognize an unhealthy relationship or a choice that looks attractive but feels wrong. Clarity gives you space to respond before fear takes control. The third purpose is to provide. Your family may need the version of you who can make one clean decision without spending weeks fighting internally. When your mind becomes less divided, your energy can move toward work, planning, and steady presence. The fourth purpose is to heal. You may be the person who stops an old pattern from passing into another generation. You can choose not to hand your confusion to your children. You can teach them that imagination is not shameful and sensitivity is not weakness. Picture one quiet change. A child in your family shares an unusual idea. Instead of laughing, you listen. Instead of forcing the safest answer, you ask what they see. In that moment, A pattern that shaped your own childhood begins to end. Picture another change. A difficult conversation begins, but you do not react from the pressure inside your chest. You pause. You hear what is being said. You speak one honest boundary without anger. The room does not control you because your inner noise is quieter. This is what the gift is for. It is not for collecting signs while life remains unchanged. It is not for repeating that you are chosen while avoiding the work ahead. The gift becomes real when perception turns into service, protection, creation, and responsible action. Now, the whole path becomes clear. You carry a pattern nobody else carries. Years of doubt weakened the connection between recognition and action, but the gift remained, waiting for cooperation to return. A tool can support that return. Prayer, reflection, rest, and honest action can support it. But no tool can live your responsibility for you. Clarity only opens the door. You are still the one who must walk through it. Write this below: I use what I carry. Do not write it as another identity label. Write it as a promise that your insight will no longer remain trapped inside you. You will test it with wisdom. You will move when the next honest step becomes clear. You do not need to solve your entire future tonight. Choose one act that proves your receiver, and your actions can work together. Make one call. Write one page. Set one boundary. Let the evidence of your new direction be something you can see. The world does not need another person who only believes they are special. It needs the person who becomes clear enough to turn a unique life into useful action, and no one else can complete the part that belongs to you. Before this message closes, carry one final distinction. The world does not need another person who only believes they are special. It needs the person who turns uniqueness into action. What you do after recognition decides whether the gift becomes a life or remains a feeling. No one can speak the apology that belongs to you. No one can set the boundary you keep avoiding. No one can write the idea that has been waiting inside your history. No one can live the part placed in your hands. That is why your next step matters. Not next month, not after every fear disappears. Within the next 24 hours, choose one action that makes your recognition visible. Write the first page. Send the message. Research the idea. Begin with something small enough to complete. You do not need a guarantee for the entire road. You only need honesty about the next step. Action does not prove that you know everything. It proves that you are willing to cooperate with what has already become clear. Maybe you believe you started too late, but you are not beginning from nothing. You are beginning with every lesson, mistake, loss, and insight your life has given you. Time also built the perspective you carry. Maybe you fear failure, then make the step smaller. One honest action does not need to secure your whole future. It only needs to break the agreement between insight and delay. Maybe you feel unworthy. Remember this: the gift was not placed in you because you were perfect. It becomes meaningful when you use it while you are still growing. Responsibility does not require perfection. It requires presence. Now, say this within yourself: I will not call my sensitivity weakness. I will not call the fog my identity. I will not wait forever for someone else to confirm what I have been given. I will connect insight with action. I will use what I carry to create something useful. I will return to the original mind, but I will bring the wisdom of the adult I have become. I will let logic guide imagination. I will let intuition speak beside evidence. I will stop forcing the parts of my mind to compete when they were designed to cooperate. Write this below: I am fully online. This is not a claim of perfection. It is a decision to stop abandoning yourself. It is a promise that fear will not receive the final word when clarity asks you to move. Out of 8.2 billion people, no one has your exact story. No one has your exact wounds, your exact way of seeing, or your exact place in this moment of history. That is what no one on Earth has. Not a secret object, not proof that you stand above others. It is the way your memories, losses, perception, and unfinished purpose have formed one pattern that cannot be repeated. You do not need to become more chosen. You need to stop abandoning the mind, the perception, and the responsibility that came with what you already carry. The signal is still there. The receiver can be restored. The next move belongs to you.